Hey, what's up everyone? In this new tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to change the character selection system into a shop. If you didn't check out the video about the character selection system, make sure to check it out. We can select any of these characters and we can play with it. But in this video, we are going to use the coins to buy the character. We're gonna display the number of coins that we have collected. Then we can go to the shop. So this one is free and it's the default character. But if you go to the other characters, you need to buy these in order to use them. For example, here we can't buy this character because it needs 100 coins, but we can buy this one. If we click on this button, you see that the number of coins is reduced and we can play with this one. So if this is the first time you're visiting my channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you don't miss my next videos. And let's jump right into it. So this is what we left off from the previous video. We've created this character selection menu. Now we can select any of these characters. And we've created this character select script, which contains two functions, the change next to switch to the next character, and the change previous function to switch to the previous one. But that's a little bit boring. We need to use the coins that we have collected to buy characters. And to create this kind of shop, you could create an array that contains the prices. Also, we're gonna need to add another array that contains the boolean is unlocked to check whether the character is unlocked or not. But that's a little bit annoying. We can create our own type. For example, we can create a new type that is called character. And each character has some properties like the name, the price, whether it's unlocked or not, and so on. And to do that, it's very easy. We can create a simple class, which is a blueprint of the character. You see here that we have the class keyword. We can create our own, and it's gonna be a new type. And to do that, let's go back to the assets. Then we can right click, create C# script. Let's call it character. Then let's open it up. First, I'm gonna delete the start and the update functions. We don't need these. Also, we can remove this mono behavior. And that's all what you need to create the character class. Now we can add some properties because each character has a name. Also, we need the price of the character as well as the boolean true or false to check whether the character is unlocked or not. And to do that, we can create our properties as a normal variable using public. And let's start with the name, which is a string. I'm gonna call it name. Then we need the price using public int. Let's call it price as well. And finally, let's add the boolean is unlocked using public bool or boolean. I'm gonna call it is unlocked. Now we can create an array of characters that represents our three characters. But to be able to create an array of characters and use them in your project, we need to add these square brackets. Then in here, we add system.serializable. Now let's move to the character select script. And here we can create the array of characters using public. Then the type. So each element in the array has the type character. And don't forget to add the square brackets. I'm gonna call it characters. Then if you save the script and select the characters empty game object that has the character select script, you will see that we have this array and we can specify the size. We have 3 characters in the game, and under each element we can set the name, the price, and the boolean is unlocked. For example, let's call our first character Red Ball, which is this one that comes with the free assets, buy at games. Then we can give it a price. So this one is free. That's why I'm gonna leave it as 0. Let's go to the second element, which is the Jack character. I'm gonna call it Jack. And let's set a price like 30 coins. And finally we have the Red Hat character. I'm gonna change the price to 60 or maybe 100. But I'm not going to set the boolean is unlocked because this will change. For example, if we buy a character, this is gonna be true, and if you don't buy it, it's gonna be false. Basically, we're gonna load this boolean from the player prefs, and to do that, let's go back to the character select script, and under the awake function, let's go ahead and initialize the boolean is unlocked. We can loop through all of the characters using the for each loop. So for each character, we can call it C in the array of characters, and under this loop function, we are going to check if the character is actually free using if c.price. Now we can easily access the price of each character using .price. If it's equal to 0, then we're gonna change the boolean using c.isUnlocked to true. Otherwise, we are going to load the boolean from the player prefs using else. Then let's add c.isUnlocked equals player prefs dot get, and you notice that we didn't have the boolean option. Basically, I'm gonna use an int. If it is 0, that means false, and 1 is true. And if you don't know, player prefs allows you to save a key value pairs. For the key, I'm gonna use the name of the character, and to access the name, we use c.name. Then we give it a default value. So by default, the character is not unlocked. That's why I'm gonna pass in 0 or false. But we have an error. That's because this is a boolean and this is an int. And to fix that, we can check if this value equals 0. Then we're gonna set the boolean is unlocked to false. Otherwise, it's gonna be true. And to do that, let's add an if statement. Before we initialize this value, let's use if the value that we load from the player prefs is actually 0. Then we're gonna set this boolean to false. Otherwise, we're gonna change it to true using c.isUnlocked equals true. But that's a little bit long. We could use another form of the if-else statement. Instead of using all of these lines, we could use c.isUnlocked equals, then we add the condition, which is this one. Then we add the question mark, and here we're gonna put the value if this is true, which is false, then colon, and here we put true. Basically, this is going to check if this condition is true. Then it will assign false to the boolean is unlocked. Otherwise, it's going to assign true, which is the same thing as we have done here. Now let's save the script and let's go back into Unity. So if I hit the play button, you will see that these booleans are set from the script. And yeah, we have the first character is unlocked and the others are locked. Now whenever we go to the shop menu, we need to display a button, and because this character is actually locked, we need to display a button so that we can buy it. And to do that, we are going to create this button under the shop menu. First, I'm gonna hide the main menu and enable the shop menu so that we can adjust it. So under the shop menu, let's right click UI and let's use a button, or let's use the one that has the text mesh pro. I'm gonna call it unlock button, and under here we have the text. Basically, we are going to change this dynamically. we're going to display the price of the current selected character or the current displayed character. We're going to write price, then colon, and the actual price of the current character. Also, we are going to check if we haven't enough coins. We are going to make this button uninteractable. As you can see, we have this boolean. If you uncheck that, you will not be able to press the button. Basically, we are going to change this parameter. We're going to check if the price is not enough. In such case, we are going to deselect the interactable using the script. Otherwise, we are going to enable it so that we can buy the character. And that's very easy. We are going to reference this button under our script. But first, we need to import the namespace unityengine.ui using unityengine.ui so that we can create a button element. Then let's add a reference to it using public. The type is button. I'm gonna call it unlock button. Then we're gonna update this button depending on the selected character. If it's actually unlocked, we are going to disable the button. If it's locked and we have enough coins, we are going to make interactable true and show the button. Otherwise, we are going to disable it. And to add all of this logic, I'm gonna add a new function to make it easier. Let's create it under here using public void, and let's call it update UI. Under this function, we need to get the current selected character and all of its properties like the price and whether if it's unlocked or not using the characters array. Then we can pass in the index, which is selected character. And if you don't know, we've added this selected character variable from the previous video. Anyway, we can access the character and all of its properties like the price or whether if it's unlocked or not using the boolean is unlocked. First, I'm gonna check if the boolean is unlocked equals true. In such case, we need to disable the button or hide it. Because the character is unlocked, we don't need to display it. But let's use this condition under an if statement. So let's add if this condition is true, we are going to disable the button using unlock button variable dot game object. Then we have this method that is called setActive. If we pass in false, Unity will hide this button, and that's what we need. But if the character is locked, we are going to check if we have enough coins using another if statement. And to access the coins, we've used the player prefs. So if you didn't watch the video about the coins and how to use the player prefs to store it, make sure to check out the video. I'm gonna add a link to it under the video description. Anyway, we can access the coins using playerprefs.getInt and pass in the name, which is number of coins. Make sure it's the same. So under here, let's access that using the player prefs as usual .getInt. Then we pass in the key, which is number of coins, and we add the default value. So if the collected coins is less than the price, using characters at the index selected character dot price. In such case, we are going to make our button uninteractable. We're gonna unhide the button using unlocked button.gameObject setActive true. Also, we have to make it uninteractable. That means you can't click on it using unlock button.interactable. If you change this to false, you will not be able to click on the button, but you can see it as well. And if we have enough coins, we're gonna enable this button using else. Let's copy these lines of code and let's change interactable to true so that we can press it. And that's all what you need to update the UI. Maybe if you want to display the number of coins, you could add a reference to a text and change the value from here. I think we should display the number of coins that the player has. Under the canvas, I'm gonna create another text using right-click, UI, Text Mesh Pro. I'm gonna call it coins text. Then let's move it to this corner using Shift-Alt. We're going to update this. We're gonna write coins, then colon and the actual number of coins. So let's go back to the script and add a reference to the text using public. And we have to import the namespace Text Mesh Pro. Then we can create the type, which is Text Mesh Pro UGUI. I'm gonna call it coins text. Then we can go under our update UI function and update the UI of the coins using coins text dot text equals, and we're gonna add the string price, then colon, and the price that we're gonna load from the player prefs. I will just copy this line of code, but we need to call our function. For example, we need to call it whenever we load the menu under the awake function. Let's write the name of the function, which is update UI, and that will update the button as well as the text that shows the number of coins. Also, we need to call it whenever we switch to another character. I'm gonna add it under the change next function using update UI, and the same thing after the change previous. Now let's save the script. Before we test our game, make sure to reference the button. Under this script, let's drag in the unlock button and the coins text. Then let's hit play. But the button is not appearing. I think I have made a mistake. And yeah, make sure to change this to true, because we need to show the button whenever the current character is locked. The same thing down here. Let's save it again. And yeah, we have our button that is enabled because we have the character that is locked by default. Also, we can click on it because we have enough coins. So the Jack character needs 30 coins and we have 32. But if we go to the other one, you see that the button is disabled because we need 100 coins. But the text is not updated. We need to update the text under this button using the price of the current character. Also, we need to add a functionality to the button. Whenever we click on it, we need to subtract from the coins the price of the player and make sure that is selected. Also, we have to change the boolean is unlocked to true. So first thing is first, let's go back to the script. Then under the update UI function, let's update the text and we can add it under here. If the character is locked, we are going to change the text to the price. And you don't need to add a reference to the text that is under the button. We can access the child of it, which is the text, using unlock button dot get component in children, and we want to get the Text Mesh Pro component. I'm gonna pass in Text Mesh Pro UGUI. If you are using the normal text, you need to pass in text. Then we can change it using dot text equals. I'm gonna write the string price, then colon, and the price of the character, which we can access using characters at the index selected character. And finally, we need to add a function to unlock the character. So under this one, let's add public, then void. I'm gonna call it unlock. And in order to unlock the character, we need to subtract from the coins the price of the character. So let's add two variables. The first one is the coins that we have using int coins equals, and the same thing, player prefs.get int number of coins. Then we need to access the price of the character. I'm gonna add another variable, price equals characters. At the index selected character dot price. Then we're gonna change the number of coins using player prefs dot set int, not get int. We enter the name of the key, which is number of coins, then the new value, which is the coins, minus the price. Then we have to change the boolean is unlocked to true using player prefs dot set int, and we're using the name of the character as a key. So I'm gonna pass in the character name using dot name, then the value 1, which means true. So whenever we reload the menu, it's going to read this value and it will read true, not false. So we'll be able to select the character and play with it. And in order to play with this character, we need to change the selected character. So if you don't know, whenever we load a level, we are reading the selected character index using the player prefs. We need to change the index to the current selected character. So let's write player prefs dot set int, and the key is selected character, then the index of our new character, which is selected character. Also, we have to update the UI elements, because once you buy the character, we need to update the text that shows the number of coins and disable the button by calling the update UI function. And that's all what you need. But we are missing one thing, and it's about these two functions, the change next and change previous. Here we are incrementing the index, then we are changing the selected character under the player prefs. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that the player is unlocked. So we need to cut this line of code and add an if statement. We have to check if our new character is actually unlocked using characters at the index selected character, which we have incremented under here, dot is unlocked. In this case, we can change the value under the player prefs. Otherwise, we don't need to change that. The same thing for the other one. I'm gonna copy these two lines of code and let's add them down here. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, we have to change the boolean is unlocked under this function using characters at the index selected character dot is unlocked equals true. And I think that's all. I know it's a little bit hard, but that's how it works. Now let's save our script and go back into Unity. I'm gonna change the color of this text to another one, like yellow color. You could also change the material preset because we're using the Text Mesh Pro. Then let's hit play. But that's a little bit weird. The price is character. I think we've made a mistake about the text that is under the button, which means in this line of code. So I forgot to add dot and the price. Let's save it again. And I think I didn't use the function. So whenever we click on the unlock button, we need to call the function unlock. So we need to drag in the characters object, and under the character select script, let's select the unlock function, which will actually unlock the character. And there you go, our shop system is working. We have the button and we can click on it because we have enough coins. But for this one, we can't click on the button. You see that interactable is unchecked, and that's because we need 100 coins. Anyway, let's click on the button. Then let's go back and play the game. And there you go, we have the player. But if we switch to this one, which is locked, and play the game, you will see that it will select the previous one that is available. And yeah, which is this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any question or comment, make sure to write it under the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. I appreciate that. And I will see you in the next one.